are you and what do you do?
Great. So my name is Alysha Campbell, and I am a global HR business partner at The Economist.
And Alicia, how did you get into HR?
So, funny story, I actually went to school for accounting. And after being on the job hunt for a couple months, I went to a recruitment agency for them to help me find an opportunity within accounting. And they liked me so much that they offered me an opportunity as a recruiter. So, that's how I kind of got my start into it. And I realized very quickly that I really enjoyed connecting people with great opportunities. I saw how it was improving their lives, their overall just happiness, and I wanted to be a part of that experience and that journey. And then me being the curious person that I am, I decided to explore more into the HR element. And long story short, here I am.
And then after you got that job in HR, which started in recruiting, how did you ensure successful career growth, especially because, you're not still working in recruiting to an extent you have a different type of position, some of it may focus on recruiting, but how did that transition occur and how did you keep, understanding and getting clarity on where you wanted to go?
Yes. So for me, it was really important that I was in an opportunity that allowed me to influence and make decisions. That was just a goal of mine that I've always wanted for my own career, and being able to be in a position where I had that flexibility and that opportunity to flex that muscle, so to say, was something that I was always kind of continually striving for. So whenever I took a new role or a position, that was kind of my main focus. How was that going to grow that muscle? How was it going to allow me to have more influence, think more strategically, and really be that HR business partner that, I wanted myself to kind of evolve and mature into. And so that's kind of been my North Star and my compass, so to say, in choosing my opportunities and moving from one role to another. And then I think what's really important is that it really had to align with my values and my beliefs as a human being. At the end of the day, we do spend a lot of time at work, and especially in the HR field, a lot of our time is for other people. We talk, do projects, figure out solutions to different complex situations. And so I had to make sure that the organization that I worked with as well was really aligned to my own values and beliefs, so that as I'm solving these problems, the way that I would do it would align with how they would want it solved as well. So it didn't always get it right, but I think I learned a lot through my career so far, and I'm really excited to where I've been able to get to.
Hey, super cool. Yeah, they say, one of the differences between an HR business partner and let's say it's an HR generalist or manager is they may be focused more on the day to day, and the HR business partner often thinks about what is HR going to look like in like a year from now or 2 years from now. And everybody who has that seat at that table in the executive meeting is also trying to think that far ahead. They're not necessarily thinking about this quarter's results, but they're like, how do we influence the quarter 6 quarters from now?
Yeah.
And I think that's where the HR business partner really succeeds. Now, talk to me about some of the skills that help you day to day, week to week, and really enable you to be successful at your job.
Yes, definitely. Number one is relationship building. My job would be very challenging if I did not or didn't have the ability to make strong relationships, not just over time, but also quite quickly as well. When I'm stepping into situations, I have to analyze and synthesize information very quickly. I have to establish trust, and I have to establish common ground, usually within the span of an hour. So if I'm dealing with someone that I've never spoken to before or who isn't really familiar with myself or my role, that's going to be really key in getting to a solution that's going to meet both parties to where they want to be. So relationship building is definitely A1. Number two is strong communication skills. You're going to be speaking to various levels throughout the organization, and various hierarchies as well. You're going to meet different personalities, different communication styles, different management styles. And if you're not able to maneuver that, I would say comfortably, you can find yourself in some sticky conversations quite quickly. So being able to have a thick skin, understand really where people are coming from, and not focusing on necessarily what they're saying, but what they're not saying is really key in ensuring that you're meeting people where they're at and really speaking and addressing concerns with empathy. And then number three is you have to love what you do. It is, every job has their elements where it can be strenuous or exhausting at times. And HR definitely has those moments, maybe some more than others, depending on where you work and the types of problems you're solving. So you really do need to have a passion and a love for what you do, because you're really dealing with people's lives at the end of the day. These are their careers, these are their relationships that they're asking you to get involved in. And it's so important that you take the time to understand the importance of that and how you're really there to sometimes be a doctor in some instances and fix and mend and bring back together some of the broken pieces to really help these two people or these group of people move forward together. And that in and of itself then allows you to see, okay, how can I, look 6 quarters down the line or into the future to see, okay, based on where the business is at, which is really all about building on relationships, what are the things that these relationships and our people and our workplace culture really need to have so that we're set up for success, not just for today, but for the future.
Hey, that's very true. And then while you're going about this process to help enable it, I'm sure you're using some tools, whether that's for anything from payroll to benefits to just project management. What are some of the tools that help you be successful in your job?
Yes, I am nothing if I don't have my tools. I do use Google Calendar because I have multiple calendars that I sync with, beyond just my work to make sure that I'm attending all my meetings and keeping myself organized. So having a really good calendar platform is very important. From a project management perspective, I use Asana. I love that I'm able to create tasks and projects, assign people, add people, comments, add files, everything under the sun. This makes life a lot easier. And then, of course, where would we be without wonderful Zoom? So I use Zoom, Google Meet. Yeah, those are the main two video platforms that I use.
Now, some of the people watching this video are interested in to break into their first role into HR and they're looking to develop a career path. Can you talk to us about some of the thoughts that go into picking an HR job that you'll enjoy?
Great question. I think you really need to ask yourself, what could you see yourself doing, not just today, but for the future? And the reason that that's important is because as you build your career, the things that you found out fundamentally build upon is possibly what you may be known for as you continue to grow in your career. So for example, myself, I started in recruitment. I was in 3 years agency before going in-house and going over into an HR role. And still to this day, I heavily rely on my recruitment experience, not because I'm searching out talent, but because my leaders know that I have a background in talent acquisition and management. So they'll ask me questions like, are we posting this in the right places? Are we looking at the job the right way? Is this even the right level and compensation we should be looking at? So don't underestimate those fundamental skills that you start to build very early on in your HR career, because they will come in handy as you continue to grow. I would say if you're looking to get into the first job, identify what areas of HR you really gravitate to. Is it data? Is it recruitment? Is it learning and development? Is it people operations or HR operations versus more of the generalist or HRBP kind of route? So doing your research, talking to your network, talking to professionals, doing courses like this, and really understanding how the different roles and elements vary is going to really help you kind of tie those pieces together and really set you out on a good foundation. And at the end of the day, you never know anything unless you take a chance. So try it out. If it's not for you, maybe there's an opportunity for you to move somewhere else, or maybe you move on to a new opportunity. But I think it's important that you try, because you never know until you're in the actual position.
That's very true. And when we think about positions that you can be in, the HR business partner is one of them. And it seems to be more in demand today, in part because they're able to make more data-backed decisions. It's just part of it, which is, great thing that HR professionals can now do that, which is almost guaranteeing them a seat at the table. And when we think about the future of HR and industries and where it's going, besides the HR business partner of that being in more in demand, what else do you see going on with the future of HR?
Absolutely. I definitely think the need and the demand for HR business partners will definitely continue to grow, because it's such a key and vital part of a business. And I know back in the day when I started in my career, in various roles, whether it was an HR advisor or an HR manager position, you have to wear many hats, especially if you are a sole HR practitioner in the organization. And that can be a very compromising situation because you're always torn between these different priorities and being a team of one or a very small team that has to manage all these different elements within the HR sphere. It could be very stressful. And at times you know that some things have to wait while other things get more attention. Well, you know, all these things need as equal attention. So I say that to say that it's important that depending on the organization you are in, will depend on how this role is framed and how you'll activate in the positions that you move on into your career. I think that what's important though is understanding how all the pieces come together and being able to bring together the important facets of HR management and the important facets of the business, and really being able to tell a story and connect to the business leaders of why they need to think about these things just a little bit more carefully or just at a little bit more of a granular level. Remember, leaders all have 10,000 plus things on their to-do list. And so with HR, that may not be one of the things that they want to talk about or manage or really even deal with. But at the end of the day, it's all about people, and people run your business. So when a leader has a problem, remember, it goes back down to its people. What's the environment we're cultivating? What is the support we're providing? How are we allowing our staff to know that we care and that we're here for them, you know, in some of their most challenging times? And so being able to speak to those things from a humanitarian perspective, while also being able to tie in how the actions they'll take or won't take will benefit the business, is going to be so key. So don't lose touch of those HR fundamentals, because as you grow into an HR business partnering position, those will be very key in telling your story.
Hey, very true. And that covers a bit of my next question, but if you can expand, that would be super helpful, which is talk about some of the common hurdles that HR business partners face and the solutions to solve them.
Oh, that's a good one. I would definitely say resolving conflict. I do that a lot in my roles. And that it's important because remember, as a business, you're bringing hundreds, possibly even thousands of people together to come to a common ground. And you're going to be talking and meeting with different personalities. All these employees have their own different experiences and backgrounds. And that all needs to come together in the right way to make the business successful. And sometimes people have some challenges communicating and challenges not getting their own agenda in the way of the greater good of the organization or the greater good of kind of what the end goal is for the project or the task. So conflict resolution is something that is super important. Being able to hear and really be empathetic and understanding to people's situations, to their problems, is so key in the challenges that I faced, because they're looking for that neutral ground. They're looking for that mediator that can come in, objectively look at the facts and help make a decision, or let's guide the decision in the right direction. So that's something that I commonly come up against in my position. And the tools that I utilize to overcome those challenges when it comes to conflict or resolution is really taking things from a step back. So really using my active listening skills, understanding the circumstances, understanding the parties involved, and really doing a little bit of an investigation to say, okay, what's really going on here? What is the crux at this problem? What are we really trying to solve? While again, keeping in mind, keeping those relationships intact, getting the parties who might be in conflict back on neutral ground and moving this problem forward. And so active listening, making sure that I'm talking clearly, communicating effectively, and really taking notes as well. As HR professionals, it's important that we do take notes, because we never know where we might need to refer back to those notes or use them in other circumstances. So taking notes and having those ready for you at any time is also very key.
Hey, and then, oh,
no, I thought you maybe wanted a running list of problems. I was like, I got more.
so we have one more question here, which is, let's say you were hiring for an HR business partner today. What would you look for?
I would definitely look for someone with good, well-rounded experience. So that would be working maybe with a large organization, say 5,000 plus, to maybe a medium, to maybe a small. Just something to show that they have flexibility and range within their skill set. So, of course, with larger organizations versus smaller, you're gonna have to flex your muscle in different ways. So knowing that they are able to do that in different cultures and work environments is important. The types of of leaders that they've supported. So is it C-suite? Is it senior directors and above, senior management? Because that's also really important on the types of problems they would have been solving and types of individuals they would have been interacting with and helping to support. And I would say again, a strong HR foundation. Now it doesn't need to be traditional. Like I said, I came in from recruitment, so anything is possible within the right opportunities. But finding those individuals that have taken a risk, that have taken an opportunity that they didn't know where this was going to go, but they did it anyways, and they made it work in the best way possible. So I think that says a lot about individuals who are able to take those risks, those opportunities, and make it into something really special.
Hey, very true. And then for students watching, they may be interested in connecting with you on LinkedIn. Can they go ahead and do that?
Yes, absolutely. So my name on LinkedIn is Alysha M. Campbell, just so you don't get me mixed up with anyone else. And you can also reach out to me via email, which is Alysha@cultureshifthr.com.
And the chances are that her LinkedIn URL will be in the description below this video. So if you are watching this video, go to the description to make it a little bit easier for you to connect with her. And thank you, Alysha, for being here today. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, and we'll rock and roll from here.
All right. Thanks for having me.